Oh, my brain just died. Hey everybody, welcome back to just one more row. Little crafting vlog we got going on here. I want to go ahead and give you guys a super quick update as to kind of what's been going on over the last 2 weeks. This is probably going to be a bit fast, and I'm going to try to do this in one take because my brain's a little bit fried right now. So, let me start off with my one finished object. And it's an unusual one, which is my notebook. With Delineator proudly misspelled on the front. Okay, so for those of you guys who don't know, I am planning everything out for next year. And I want to do 10 items that are knitted, crocheted, what have you, based on designs from a specific period in history, and I have decided to go with 1911 to 1920, so right around World War I. So much change and everything was going on at the time, but I also wanted to take a chance to not only look at the fashions, get some interesting clothes, kind of step out of my bubble as far as color goes, but also get a chance to look into some of the history and be able to share some of the cool stuff I find with you guys. And so what I am doing, I have found the magazine, the Delineator, which is an American magazine that was put out by Butterick, and I have gone and downloaded everything that I can find from 1911 to 1920. That's going to be a combination of Internet Archive. We'll have some of them. Also, Googlebooks, interestingly enough, had a huge number of these, although they are broken up by 6-month sections, so just be aware that it's not a small file. It's just not. It's not. When you get all of these together, it's a lot. Mostly because each issue of the Delineator was not exactly tiny. So what I've done is I'm going through each of the magazines and I'm taking notes, or I took notes, and we'll probably continue to take notes, let's be really honest, on, oh, this design's really cool, I really like that, I would love to be able to take and maybe modify that a little bit so it'll fit my body, and works well with the fabric texture and dynamics for knitting, if that makes sense. And also saying, oh, look, here's an article on something super practical, say dressmaking, or here's an article that I would like to read. So I've gone through all of these, and I just wrote down anything and everything that I found that was really interesting or cool. And so basically I have used up almost an entire notebook. And just so that you guys can get a concept of what the inside of this looks like, it's a notebook of this. Well, you guys can see that. It's just page after page of, hey, look at this outfit. Hey, look at this article. And on my second pass through, again, I'm going to be going through on my second pass through and seeing which designs start speaking to me. So I'll probably go through each year and probably pull about 12 designs that I really like. And of those 12 designs, I'll probably narrow that down to like 3 to really focus my energy on, and from those 3 then I'll narrow it down to 1, and in that narrowing process kind of give like a more cohesive collection. Oh, look at me using big adult words. Ooh, that's kind of scary. But so that's kind of what's been going on with this first finished object. I already have some of the sketches done, sort of, and I'm working on the details for those. I want to focus a lot on color work and design, so I'm going to be looking up what would have been kind of the parameters for patterned clothing, if that makes sense. So things that have a pattern on them, what did those look like? And I have another series that I have downloaded. It's not an official one, but they're a bunch of medieval embroidery and cross-stitch books. And so I will be going through there and finding patterns that I can alter to work within color work, or because later on in the 19 teens into 1920, you really start coming into like the filet crochet, in which case those are great. I can just use them as is. So, to give you guys some sneak peeks in this, you can go online, by the way, and just download all of the Delineator if you want to, or just flip through it. Like I said, Google Books. Part of the reasons it's taken me so long is that this is about 1,000 pages-ish per year for going through this. So it's been about 10,000 pages. It's going to be a year-long project. But I did find a bunch of really interesting article titles in here that look really interesting. So 1911, literally at the start of January, letters, Mr. Edison's talking about electricity being the way of the future. It's an article written by Thomas Edison, or about Thomas Edison, talking about how electricity is going to change everyone's life. It's absolutely amazing to me to see it in real time, the public reactions and speculations and what folks are selling or talking about and reacting to in a woman's magazine. And so I'm not going to get into too much more of that because that's going to be coming up and I can talk about this for quite some time. But as I start reading some of the articles, I'll let you guys know because a bunch of these look really, really interesting. And I'm also working on moving through some books that are like coming out, studying some of the Gilded Age, if you're in America, Gilded and Progressive Age, and then the Long Century in Europe, and how all that plays together to lead up to the climate for World War One. I think that is interesting. Not that I like or glorify war. I don't. Let me be very clear. I do not glorify war. But understanding how the mentality and how the chess pieces lined up to get us to that point, and then what that point left us with, I find very interesting. So, but that's the first object there. Get that out of the way. The second, this is a work in progress. Go ahead and show you guys. I showed you this last time, and I have since put on, if I can not have my balls of yarn fall everywhere, a little bit more. Turn it upside down. So, man, that looks really good on camera. I've gotten this far in, so you can kind of see how the pattern's working out here. Again, it's the same thing on both sides. And this right there is, if I can fold it, there we go. That's like one pattern. So you guys can see how that's gonna look. This has been a project. I didn't think it was going to be that much of a project, but it could just be because I was going through the Delineator and because I'm also trying to read all of these books that they're very interesting, but they're also very information packed. So you kind of get a chance you can either focus on counting for this because there's a lot of counting involved. It's not hard. There's only one stitch in here. It's literally single crochet through the back loop. That's it. And you're just switching colors. But you have to count. And when you're listening to some of the books that I've been listening to recently, like, you can either count or you can follow what they're doing. Doing both is not recommended. So I would have gotten much further in this, except that I kept making mistakes, and then I would have to take things apart, go back, fix the mistake, crochet on, the 3 or 4 rounds that I messed up on, and try to move on from there. And each one of these rounds takes me about 15 minutes, I'd say. It's not fast. Like, it's really not fast. Probably 10 to 15 minutes. if I'm paying attention. But this one is going into timeout for a little bit just because, like I said, I can't. It's taking up too much brain space right now. I only have a limited amount. But the proof of concept. Also, this is really cool because once these get so big, they basically hold all of your craft supplies. Anyway, so I've only had like enough brain power to get through like a couple of these projects at a time. Like you can work on the Delineator, you can read the book, or you can work on this. You get 2 of them. You can't have all 3. So this guy's going into timeout for a few minutes while I let my brain decompress and kind of figure out and synthesize, shall we say, all of the information I've been downloading, because I've been hitting it pretty hard. But just so that you guys know, this technique is basically the Wayu bags. And so the whole thing is done with single crochets, and then you single crochet through the back loop. And then you just switch colors as you go. And I'm using 2 colors here. I have other pieces somewhere in this where I have used up to 7 colors. Actually, I see one right now. Hold on. So they can get a little bit wild. There's another one that I've made. And there's our heater. It's cold outside, so sorry guys, that's staying on. But you can see here that I have multiple colors. I think I have like 5. You can make these with circular bases, which you can see there. The one that I'm really, really, really proud of, it's gonna seem like such a silly thing to be proud of, but is that one, because this is 7 colors, and it's literally just stripes. Like there's nothing on the bottom. It's just stripes. Just little rainbow stripes. But that, and I have a whole bunch more of these, but they're all made using that same technique, which is pretty simple. It's just, you just single crochet through the back loop. That's it. I really recommend going and looking them up. There is the people that make them, which is where I learned about this from, the Wayu people. You can go buy some of the bags from there. Those are very beautiful. There's a reason that they're expensive, and there's a reason they're expensive. They're 100% handmade because we don't have a way to mechanize crocheting. Okay, so every piece of crocheting you see is in fact handmade, and because of that, they have huge bags. Like this would be like one of their tiny ones, like big backpacks, and they tend to be with more complicated geometric patterns. For the people there, from what I've read, you know, if you do this professionally, it takes you about a month to make each one. So you make like 12 of these bags a year. That's what you do. But I like the technique, but I take it in a very, very, very different direction than what they're doing. So I've done a lot with geometric stuff here. I would like to do some more pictorial stuff. So maybe in the future using some of the embroidery patterns that I have in here, because some of those are very, like, they're very pictorial. It's the only way I can think of it. They're not just a geometric pattern. They're not just this, but you'll have various flowers. The one that I really want to do in here, I would call them delightfully demonic goats. It sounds like a really weird way to describe it, but that is, that they look like delightfully demonic goats prancing around a giant urn, and I would like to do that for a bag. Anyway, so that is that work in progress there. And while that guy is in timeout, I have another one going on, which is both a work in progress. I cast this on a couple days ago. It's a work in progress, and it is a proof of concept. Sorry for all the coffee, guys. Look, I haven't been awake very long. I just want to be able to, I haven't been awake very long, and I want to be able to get this out to you. or get it out, if you will. So I am doing back to the Delineator and going through here because we're going to be referencing this notebook a whole lot going forward. I went through and in a quick kind of, again, quick perusal through this decade, one thing that I noticed is that from like 1910, it looks a little bit different towards the 20s, but really towards like the early part of the decade, there are many shirts, blouses, dresses, and then children's clothing that have quite a few that have gathers on them. So you have a lot of gathered fabric. They do a lot with pin tucks and pleating, and once you get closer to 1920, there's a whole lot with ruffles going on. Lots of ruffles. I mean, it's like a potato chip factory in here. There's ruffles everywhere. But what I wanted to see is kind of designing a shirt that incorporated a lot of those gathers into the design. I want to know if I can get the proper amount of drape. How does that wear? Because that's going to be a very common thing. And for some of this, it looks very comfortable. Could I take a blouse and then translate that into a dress? Can I take elements of this dress so that you get the correct shape and silhouette? Can I get the right drape going on? And then I'd like to see about using some of this maybe with lingerie dresses and lingerie shirts. That's what they're called, because they had lots and lots and lots of lace. Basically what they remind me of is that these were like the scrap project is what they make me think of. I know that they're not, but people just went through and were like, okay, well, we have all these weird little links of lace that are too small to use in anything else. Let's put them in a shirt. And we'll make different designs and it'll be gorgeous and we'll just call it, you know, it's artistic. Anyway, I've been looking at a lot of these and saying, can I take that idea and then translate it? So where I have started, and it's only a couple days, is this is the start of a gathered blouse. I know. No, it's not going to be this short. This is the yoke. So where I'm at right now is that I'm going to, oh, there goes the heater. So this is the yoke for it. What I'm going to do is I am going to basically make the top from approximately here, so a little bit more than halfway up where my armhole, my arm side would be. That is going to be more standard fit. So I figured out what my bust measurement's going to be. I like to add a little bit extra into that, just so that, you know, bodies change throughout the month, and doesn't matter what your undergarments are, it gives me a little bit of extra ease. You take 35% of whatever that measurement is. So in my case, that's 40 inches. Take 35% of that, and that's the width of your yoke. And so it's going to start about here, comes up, it's got a tighter neckline to it. So like I did with my Doves and Daisies, because that also has a tighter neckline, if I were putting a crew neck collar in here, I would probably do this at 40% of my bust. Calculate out what that would be. So it'd be 20% at the back, 20% on the front, so 10% here, 5, and then about an inch. Because that creates a hole for your head to go through, but that also gives you that extra space there for the collar to lay correctly, you know, without getting weird. So it lays flat. Since I am not putting something like that on, I'm probably just going to be doing a quick crocheted edge along the inside here, and a little tiny button, just one. I opted to go with something that is smaller, so this is actually 36%. I find that that fits me well. I can still fit my head through there without an issue, but it is closer up, so I don't end up with like this huge wide neckline. But what I'm going to do is, so you have the yoke that starts about here, goes up around your neck, down your back, so that they meet at about roughly the same spot. I'm going to do a setup for set-in sleeves, because here's all the red that I have. So I can't use more than this. So we're going to work with this until I run out of yarn, essentially. What I'm going to do, you can kind of see it here, how that'll look. I am going to I'll create the little swoop here for the arm sets. It's a very technical term, the swoop. But for basically the fit for the armpit. And then I'm going to do that like I regularly would, so that's only going to be 15% of the total bust. 7.5 on each side, just so you know, but it's 15% in total. Because 35 plus 15 equals 50%, which is half of your shirt. So that's your front. So I'm going to do the swoop in there, but I'm going to pick up along this edge, and then I'm going to double the amount of stitches that are along here. So there's 147 right now, so I'm going to double that to right around just under 300. And so that should make the body of this to be nice and loose, and depending on how long I'm hoping I can get this down to 16 inches, so it's going to come down over my hips, so I can belt it in if I wanted to, I can tuck it in if I wanted to, or it's just going to be something nice and loose. If I have enough yarn left over, I'll see about putting on sleeves. But the sleeves are a nicety and has to do with if I have enough yarn. So we're going to see. But this is, like I said, proof of concept. And if I can get the gathering part of this to work well, then that's really going to open up, because, like I said, there are so many blouses and dresses and parts of dresses that all involve this kind of gathering. But I want to know if I can do it and have it look good. But also where I'm not having to make 15 pieces and then try to sew them together, mostly because I find that when you do that, a lot of your seams tend to be inelastic, so they do not stretch. There is zero stretch. And I don't know if you know this, but that's not a very comfortable thing to have if you're going directly across someone's hips. I would like some of those areas to have give. If I'm doing this and this goes across my chest or into my armpit, I want to have that give there, that elasticity, because otherwise I feel like it digs and I don't like it personally. So there's that, and I have made other pieces where I've done the separate route, and that's how I know that it does not stretch. So I'm trying to make them as much all in one as I possibly can. But I kind of doodled out this design a couple days ago, and I've just started popping the collar on, or the yoke, and then I still have to have another 50 rows or so. Just so you know, this is 5 inches deep. And then I'll let you know how that goes. And I will try to update you guys a little bit more on what my process is. I just want to get through the experimental phase of things. Do proof of concept first. Everything else comes afterwards. But yeah, so that's about where we're at. My brain is slightly fried at this point, so I don't know if I'm going to work on the Delineator stuff today or maybe tomorrow. I just finished it yesterday. There was that giant push to be just let me get through 1920, man. Let me get through 1920. By the way, I gotta tell you, once you hit 1920, the haute couture that this magazine is putting out is absolutely it is interesting and quite amazing, and I really do recommend going through if you can. And just take a look at it. Googlebooks, completely free. You can download them from there. And Internet Archive. You can download them from there. I'll see about putting up some of the pictures or stuff like that. And again, talking about some of the articles as I come up. I'm thinking right now that I'm going to divide the history talky bit from the nitty makey bit. Just so that you guys, like if you're interested in history, you can watch some of this. If you're interested in the making, watch some of that, or watch both if you're really interested in both. But I don't want to ask you to sit through something that you're just not interested in. Sounds that sounds reasonable to me. I don't know about you guys, but if it sounds reasonable to you or unreasonable to you, just go ahead and let me know. That would be much appreciated. That's kind of where we are and where we've been, and now you know a little bit about where we're going. And all of this, like I said, I'm not starting on making this project until next year. I still have to order the yarn. I still have to do all of the go back through the design work, then making all of the swatches and all of that, basically before we can even actually get to the project. I'm hoping, lots of hope in this statement, to be able to do that before the end of the year. I say with a great amount of optimism. Yeah, get down to a collection of 10 items, be able to do all the math on them, be able to do all the swatching on them, and then be able to walk you guys through it so I can talk about the history in a manner that is actually coherent. We're going to see how this works out. But like I said, all of this is prep work for the project for next year. And I know this sounds like a lot and I sound really tired right now, but believe it or not, this is some of the stuff I really look forward to. The design work, the figuring it out, the getting into the history and the background of stuff. That incredible, wonderful frustration of how do you make it work? Like, to me, that is part of the process now of knitting, and I really enjoy that section of it. Like, it is a way to draw out more of that joy, even though I know when I'm talking about it, sometimes it does not sound like there is joy. There is actual joy there. I would be very bored if I were just making somebody else's patterns, if they did not provide all of that other background as well. And it's just a personal thing. Like, that's how I roll. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the episode real quick. Hope you guys had fun, and please excuse my somewhat frazzled state. I'll see you guys in about 2 weeks, and hopefully I will have some more cool stuff to show you and talk about that's not projects and time out. Anyway, bye guys.